Maginot Line. Hundreds of bunkers connected by over 500 kilometers of tunnels at the east of France. Built between the wars from 1928 to 1936, the line was intended to repel a sudden and violent attack from Germany or Italy.
The line was a way of protecting our civilization, and bread has been a part of civilization since primitive times.
Extending 7 stories down, the bunkers held officers' quarters, communications rooms, a rail system, gunpowder magazines, and of course, a kitchen to keep soldiers fed. Here, hundreds of soldiers were trained as pâtissiers and worked the line, making thousands of Maginot breads per day. Some of the best post-war pâtissiers learned their trade deep in the bakeries, and at least one of the pastries we take for granted today was created in the dark isolation of a damp casemat kitchen.
When the soldiers were posted there was not much to do. In fact, the only thing left to do was to make pastries. Villagers would come to the casemat and exchange cigarettes for bread.
But the line no longer produces bread. At roadsides and in forests along the Franco-German border, the casemats still stand in a state of ruin. Why did the French government shut down this unique and essential bread-producing facility?
It turned out to be more effective as a bakery than as an installation for military defense. The authorities were worried about the safety of the food, but the villagers weren't as concerned about that problem. The breads were well preserved, and certainly not addictive.
What's the secret to these flavours? Whether croissants, buns or wafers? What's the brand the nation favours? Good old Maginot. Trade your cigarettes for pastries. Queue on up now, don't be hasty. Just because the product's tasty doesn't mean it shows. Maginot.
1934. Henri Lautrec has just been assigned to the SFM, the Secteur Fortifié de Mulhouse. This fortified sector near the border of Switzerland was not considered to be at risk of attack, but it was already getting a reputation as a producer of fine pastries.
My grandfather wasn't a baker when he got in the infantry, so they were farmers before. He learned to bake when he just got into the Secteur Fortifié de Mulhouse.
Lautrec had just completed his 12th week of basic military training when he was assigned to Bunker 146.
The commander just assigned him to the kitchen, to the bakery, and I think really it was the first time that he went into a kitchen for something else than bathing.
It would be inside a casemat just like this one that Henri Lautrec would become the creator of Maginot bread.
If I were to describe the flavour of Maginot bread, I would have to say it is a kind of oaky cinnamon.
Constantin Croissart wants to reopen the Maginot bakeries.
Water would seep through the cracks in the concrete and was absorbed by the wood. Later, it was collected in buckets. This diagram clearly shows the different floors of the bunkers in which the soldiers were serving. You can see the levels. You can imagine the water seeping down through each level and being collected at the end. This was the water that was used to make the bread.
In the casemat of my grandfather, there were 140 men to be fed, so he had to make 140 breads for all of these men. He needed 4 buckets of water to make these, so he had the choice in between walking back and forth a kilometer to get this water, or just let it collect in the buckets overnight.
But the water wasn't the only thing that was unique about Henri Lautrec's Maginot bread.
It looks like a penis.
Pourquoi un pénis?
Pourquoi pas?
The reason is where the place where my grandfather worked was covered with earth, so it looked like 2 bumps and the long sticks. He just thought that if he wanted people to know where it is originated from, he just had to make it just like where he worked. So that was all. They started to call it pain de bite, and this is really when the commander noticed my grandfather.
But the popularity of the bread protected Lautrec from the disapproval of his superiors. By 1938, Maginot bread was distributed all over France and could be found in both the finest and the worst Parisian cafes. The Minister of the Interior sought to capitalize on this by promoting Maginot bread as being as French as the croissant.
We shall meet again, fallen camarade, and we shall feast on caviar fished from the depth of the enemy's oceans, and when brandy swirled in the earth of the universe, and grapes sprouting fresh from the ground where angels' tears, silently and secretly, disappears for 3 centuries, and rarest lost delicacies of Atlantis, Machu Picchu, and Maginot bread. And our wants will be healed in the gleam of rubies and sapphires. C'est moi.
The magazine rooms were the only rooms of the fortifications who were really sealed from the moistures. So when they were less used for defense, the bakers just started to use them to store the flour.
What are you putting on there now?
Well, cinnamon.
There was no cinnamon available in the region at that time.
Well, you know, this is the mystery of the Maginot bread line.
Constantin Croissart took me for a tour of the Maginot bakery, which he's campaigning to reopen. Wow, you can still smell the bread.
It's here, in this bunker, that I want to bring the bread of that era back to life.
But won't it cost a lot of money to clean this bunker and to refurbish it?
No, I don't think anything needs to be changed. The humidity that penetrates this wall allows the alchemy to work. It's because of this that the bread is good. No pâtissier has ever succeeded in simulating that flavor.
Venez voir ça! Regardez ce que j'ai trouvé! Regardez ça, dans un parfait état de conservation. Perfect, hein?
Ouais.
It's very nice. Vous trouvez pas?
I asked Constantin Croissart why the line was shut down.
The bunkers were shut down because some people had died.
Mais pourquoi? Why? Eh bien, on pense que
Well, they say that the elements present in the bunker, notably the gunpowder and the flavored water, were poisoning people.
Et toi, tu penses quoi? What do you think? Eh bien,
I think if you leave out all those ingredients, what is there left to make the bread special,
il ne reste plus que la forme.
besides the shape?
In France, bread used to be a pain, but it will never be the same again. We'll raise our foes and we'll raise our doughs in good old Maginot.
When I can smell pain de bite, I just remember me sitting on my grandfather's knees, and all my childhood comes to my head. So it's not even a question.
Mais disons qu'en fait, on peut parler d'addiction, oui et non.
Actually, addiction is an open question.
Mais c'est peut-être un sujet qu'il ne faut pas aborder.
Now probably is not the time to close it. My grandfather would distribute the breads from this turret, and the kids loved it. It was an incredible thing at the time for the kids. They really adored it. They just wanted more and more and more.
the
It
baker,
was.
after reading in the morning paper all about Maginot.
And cinnamon.
Initiation was a killer, used his own skin as pie filler. Now he's looking somewhat ill in good old Maginot. Maginot won't make you sad, oh no. Your morals won't be wan when you've got morale inside a pan. Maginot, even Grandad should know, provided the line will hold, we're baking fucking gold. Betty bought a panda bitter, but she found the bitter. Sergeant said he almost hit her in good old Maginot. Panda bitter makes force feeding something close to rape.